Sometimes kindness is the most dangerous gift you can give. When Evelyn Carter found a stray dog trembling in the rain, she didn't know she was about to invite a secret. One that would shatter everything she believed about love, loyalty, and safety. Evelyn, a 34-year-old widow, drove home from her late shift at the diner. Her life had become quiet, too quiet. The small town of Milford barely noticed her anymore. Since her husband's death 2 years earlier, she lived like a ghost in her own story. Then she saw him, a dog soaked to the bone, limping at the side of the road. She pulled over. "Hey there, boy." "It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you." The dog hesitated, eyes sharp, intelligent, almost human. His fur was matted, a deep scar traced along his right shoulder. But when Evelyn opened the car door, he climbed in without hesitation. She smiled for the first time in months. She named him Rufus. Within days, he followed her everywhere, slept by her bed, guarded the porch, and growled at anyone who came too close. Her neighbor, Mr. Dalton, a retired police officer, warned her, "Stray like that? You don't know what he's seen, Evelyn. Some dogs carry more than just scars." She brushed it off. Rufus was gentle with her, loyal, protective, but strange things began happening. Her front gate, unlocked, though she swore she'd latched it. Her trash, scattered, not by raccoons but searched, as if someone was looking for something. And one night, Rufus stood at the door, teeth bared, growling at the darkness. When Evelyn stepped outside with a flashlight, she thought she saw someone vanish into the woods. A week later, a stranger showed up at her door, tall, stern, military posture. He flashed a badge. "Ma'am, that dog, where did you find him?" Evelyn froze. "I found him on Highway 9. He was hurt. I took him in." The agent studied her carefully. "That's not just a stray, ma'am. That's a trained K-9, part of a federal operation. He went missing 3 months ago after an armed raid went wrong. The men he was tracking, they're still out there." Evelyn's hands trembled. "You mean he's dangerous?" The agent replied, "Not to you, but they might come for him." That night, Evelyn barely slept. At 2:43 a.m., she heard it, footsteps outside. Then a faint knock. "Open up, ma'am, police." But something in Rufus snapped. He lunged at the door, snarling, the sound deep and feral. Evelyn froze. Then she saw it, through the window. Not a uniform, but a gun. She cut the lights, crawled to the back door, but Rufus didn't move. He stayed, guarding. A gunshot shattered the glass. Evelyn screamed. Rufus charged. When it was over, 2 men were dead. One wounded, arrested, a former cartel member wanted for murder. Evelyn sat on the porch, blanket around her shoulders, watching Rufus lying still beside her, bleeding but alive. An officer spoke quietly. "They were hunting the dog, ma'am. He used to work narcotics. Must have smelled something they didn't want found." The town called Evelyn a hero, but she didn't feel like one, because something didn't fit. Rufus's scar, the old one, wasn't from the raid. It was older, deeper, and when she cleaned his collar, she found something sewn inside the lining. A small flash drive. The files were encrypted, but one video played. Grainy footage from a hidden camera. It showed a warehouse. Men in suits. Boxes of drugs labeled as humanitarian aid. And there, in the background, Agent Thomas. Evelyn's blood ran cold. The same man who warned her. The same man who said Rufus had gone missing. He wasn't protecting her. He was looking for the evidence. Rufus hadn't wandered into her life by chance. He'd been running from the people he was trained to obey. They both had something in common, both betrayed by people they trusted. A widow and a wounded soldier. Evelyn realized she couldn't stay silent. She took the drive and drove through the night to the nearest federal office, the wind tearing through her fear. But as she parked, she noticed something chilling in her rearview mirror. A black SUV, the same kind Agent Thomas drove. She knew then this wasn't over. Evelyn turned off her headlights, crouched low. She took Rufus's collar, whispered, "You saved me once. Now it's my turn." She slipped the flash drive into an envelope, addressed it to a journalist she'd seen on TV, a truth seeker. Then she left it in a mailbox and disappeared into the night. By morning, the footage went viral. An entire operation exposed. Officials suspended. Investigations launched. Justice finally had barked back. In a world where the powerful hunt the powerless, sometimes the smallest act of compassion, a bowl of food, a warm blanket, can ignite a chain of justice no gun can stop. Evelyn didn't find a stray. She found a survivor. And together they reminded the world. Even the broken can bite back. Weeks later, a letter arrived at the post office under her name. No return address. Inside, a single photo of her and Rufus sleeping on the porch. On the back, written in black ink, "You shouldn't have looked. This was only the beginning." The photograph haunted Evelyn. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw it. The same picture of her and Rufus. Asleep on the porch, peaceful, unaware. Someone had been close enough to take it. Close enough to break into her world without a sound. The words on the back, "You shouldn't have looked," burned in her mind like a curse. She packed a small bag and left Milford before sunrise. The town that once felt safe now felt like a trap. Rufus sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window, ears twitching at every sound. She didn't know where she was going, only that she couldn't stay still. Every mirror showed headlights that lingered too long. Every motel clerk's smile felt too forced. Someone was watching. By the third day, she found herself in a quiet town 2 states away. A place that looked forgotten. Gas station, diner, 1. Motel with a flickering sign. She checked in under a false name. But even as she turned the key to her room, she felt it again. That chill. Someone had been there before her. The window latch was broken. The air smelled faintly of cigarette smoke. That night, she dreamed of the warehouse from the video, the one on the flash drive. In the dream, she saw Agent Thomas standing in front of crates marked "Humanitarian Aid." He looked directly into the camera and said, "You can't run from ghosts you created. Evelyn woke up in a sweat. Rufus stood by the door growling softly. Then came a sound, slow footsteps outside. She held her breath. The steps stopped outside her door. A pause, then a faint scraping, like metal against wood. Someone was picking the lock. Evelyn grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and whispered, "Stay." Rufus crouched low, muscles tight, waiting. The door clicked open. A figure stepped in. Black hoodie, gloved hands, a pistol at his side. Before he could lift it, Rufus lunged. The man stumbled, gun clattering to the floor. Evelyn swung the lamp, shattering it over his head. He went down hard. She pulled back his hood and froze. It wasn't Thomas. It was the wounded man from the night of the shooting. The one police had supposedly arrested. "How?" she whispered. His eyes fluttered open. "They let me go," he rasped. "Said I could finish what I started." "He wants his drive back." Evelyn's stomach twisted. "Thomas," she breathed. The man nodded weakly. "He's not FBI anymore. He's building something bigger. You don't know what you've done." Then he passed out. Evelyn tied his hands and searched his pockets. She found a phone. Dozens of missed messages from a blocked number. One new text came through as she held it. "If she's not dead yet, leave her alive. We need the dog." Her heart dropped. She looked at Rufus, sleeping by the wall, blood from a cut on his paw darkening the sheets. By dawn, the man was gone. The ropes cut clean. The door left open. On the floor, a single boot print. Whoever took him moved quietly, professionally. They knew she was awake, and they wanted her to know. She ran. She didn't stop to think. Every mile felt heavier than the last. The radio stations turned to static the farther she drove. The town's quieter, the roads emptier. By nightfall, she reached the coast. The sky was gray, the sea restless. She parked at an abandoned lighthouse and carried Rufus up the hill. Inside the lighthouse, she found old furniture, dust, and the smell of salt. She lit a candle and sat on the floor beside him. "They're not after the drive anymore," she whispered. "They're after you." Rufus lifted his head, eyes filled with something almost human. Pain, understanding, resolve. Evelyn opened her bag and pulled out what she had left. A small metal tag from Rufus's old collar, engraved with numbers and letters she never understood. She'd kept it out of sentiment, not realizing it was more than an ID. When she shined her phone light on it, she noticed faint engraving on the back. File 19C, Geneva Division. Her breath caught. Geneva, the humanitarian shipments. The fake aid boxes. It wasn't just a local cover-up. It was international. The drive she'd sent to the journalist was only one piece of something far larger. Then, through the fog, headlights appeared in the distance. 2 vehicles, black, moving slowly up the hill. Evelyn's candle flickered. "They found us," she whispered. She grabbed Rufus's leash, but he pulled away, standing firm at the door, growling deep and low. The first SUV stopped at the base of the hill. The second blocked the road. Shadows emerged, 6, maybe 7 men armed. One of them stepped forward, face hidden behind a tactical mask. But Evelyn recognized the way he moved. Confident, cold. Agent Thomas. "Evelyn!" His voice echoed through the night. "You've caused a lot of trouble. Give me the dog, and I'll let you walk away." His tone was almost casual, but she could hear the edge beneath it. "You think you're some kind of hero? You don't even know what you're holding." Evelyn shouted back, "You trained him to uncover your crimes? He trusted you. You broke him, and you broke everything he stood for." Thomas laughed. "You're wrong. He's not a victim. He's evidence." He raised his gun. "And evidence gets destroyed." Rufus barked once, sharp, defiant. Then, from behind Thomas, the sound of screeching tires cut through the storm. Another vehicle coming fast, a van. It rammed one of the black SUVs, metal twisting, men shouting. In the chaos, a figure jumped out of the van, a woman in a hooded jacket, clutching a camera. Evelyn recognized her immediately, the journalist she'd mailed the drive to. The woman shouted, "It's all live, Thomas. The world's watching." Floodlights snapped on from the van's roof, cameras rolling, drones above capturing everything. Thomas turned toward her furious, but before he could fire, Rufus lunged, knocking him off balance. The two tumbled down the hill, vanishing into the fog below. Evelyn screamed his name, but only the sound of crashing waves answered. Minutes later, police sirens filled the distance. The journalist grabbed Evelyn's hand. "It's over," she said breathlessly. Evelyn stared at the fog. "No," she whispered, eyes wet. "It's not." The next morning, rescue teams searched the cliffs. They found nothing. No body, no trace of Thomas, and no sign of Rufus. Only a torn piece of his collar washed up on the shore. The engraved tag, gone. Weeks passed. The footage went global. Governments opened investigations. Evelyn's name became a symbol of courage, but fame meant little. She couldn't sleep. Every night, she left the porch light on, hoping. Then, one evening, as the wind whispered through the trees, she heard it, faint scratching at the door. Heart pounding, she opened it. No one was there, only a muddy paw print on the step. And beside it, a small metal tag glinting in the moonlight. On the back, scratched in rough, uneven letters, were two words. Not over. Evelyn stared at the metal tag lying on her porch. Not over. The words carved into it sent a chill down her spine. She dropped to her knees, tracing the familiar grooves of Rufus's old ID. It was impossible. He had vanished into the waves. The tag was all that remained. Yet it was here, and it was new. Someone had left it for her. Or maybe he had found his way back. For days, Evelyn followed every trail she could find. Coast guards, shelters, even private search teams. Nothing. The fog that had swallowed him left no trace. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that he was close, that somehow the bond they'd built hadn't ended on that cliff. One evening, a letter arrived. No name, no return address. Inside was a single photo. A soldier kneeling beside a black dog with a scar on its shoulder. Rufus alive, standing beside a rescue team in another country. On the back were coordinates and a single phrase: finish what we started. The next week, Evelyn flew overseas, chasing the last thread of truth. The coordinates led her to a refugee camp, the same operation once used as a front for the cartel's aid smuggling. But this time it was real. Children laughed, aid trucks arrived, and among them Rufus, older, limping slightly but alive. When he saw her, his tail thumped once, then twice before he ran to her, collapsing into her arms. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "You came back, boy." The camp workers told her the dog had appeared weeks ago, guiding them to a buried stash of documents, the final evidence that exposed Thomas's international network. The world now knew everything: the corruption, the cover-ups, the betrayals. Justice had finally come full circle. That night, Evelyn sat under the stars beside Rufus. His breathing was slow, peaceful. She ran her hand over his fur, feeling the faint rhythm of his heart. He had found his purpose again, and so had she. As dawn broke, Rufus stirred, lifted his head, and looked toward the horizon. Then, with a soft sigh, he laid it back down on her lap. His eyes met hers one last time, steady, loyal, free. Evelyn's tears fell silently as the sun rose behind them. Weeks later, she returned home with his collar around her wrist. The world called her a hero, but she knew the truth. He was the one who never gave up, the stray who carried justice in his scars, the dog who reminded her that even broken souls can save the world, one act of love at a time. And every night, when the wind brushed against her porch, she swore she could still hear it, a soft bark in the distance, echoing through the dark. Good boy, Rufus. Mission complete.